This week's PlayStation State of Play fell on February 12th, 2026. Exactly to the day, 1 year since Digimon Story Time Stranger was unveiled at a State of Play. So to commemorate 1 whole year to the exact day since Digimon Story Time Stranger was revealed at the very same type of event, Bandai Namco revealed nothing. Absolutely nothing. What's going on? What is up, digital companions? My name is Karn EX and welcome back to another video. I moved the play button to over there so that you can see it on streams too, and yeah, what's going on? While we are never guaranteed Digimon news, we have had a pretty good track record of Digimon Story Time Strangers showing up at PlayStation State of Plays. We've also now, of course, had Time Strangers show up at Nintendo Directs, or at least a Nintendo Direct, with the announcement of the Switch 1 and Switch 2 versions of Digimon Story Time Stranger. But like I said in the intro, it's been exactly 1 year since the State of Play that revealed the game's proper existence. We knew it existed for a couple of years before that, but it was actually announced at that State of Play. And we've already had 2 waves of DLC. The first episode releasing in December, the next in January, but nothing in February. They didn't want to use this opportunity to announce the DLC was coming, and that feels like a weird outlier to me. A bit of a legitimate surprise. First of all, DLC 1 and 2 came way earlier than anticipated. According to the initial estimates they gave us, the DLC would be distributed by September. But then if we looked at the Steam pages for Digimon Story Time Stranger DLC's Season Pass, it estimated DLC 1 and 2 would both launch between January and March, and as it currently stands, DLC 3 would launch between April and June. However, the first DLC way over-delivered on that estimate, launching in December, and then only a month later, the Bancho DLC launched in January. Hara has also commented that the aim is to make the gaps between DLC be very short, which we 100% saw with the Bancho DLC, launching like 4-ish weeks after the Alter S DLC. So what's going on here? Why not announce DLC 3 at the most natural point, the State of Play, a celebration of PlayStation first, third-party, even multi-platform games, when we know it's coming? The Switch trailer for Time Stranger reiterated that all DLC will be delivered by September. I still think it's not going to be September, however. I don't think there's cause for concern at all. The DLC is obviously going to come out, but there is some confusion here. So far, there's been something of an event to announce the DLC, with the first wave of DLC being revealed at the State of Play Japan, but the Bancho DLC was revealed at the second ever Digimon Times, which is kind of like a Digimon Direct. Weirdly, this Digimon Times was only in Japanese. Regardless though, it does seem like they are showing these DLCs at live-streamed reactable events like State of Plays or Digimon Times, or maybe Nintendo Directs now. There is 100% a chance where I make this video, it goes out on Sunday, and then Monday they reveal the next DLC, so I wouldn't actually worry about this, but I do want to talk about DLC and why I think they are sometimes missing crucial opportunities that they could take advantage of. If we're looking at the Digimon Games socials account now, they are in full kind of remarketing, I guess you could call it, for the Switch 2 version and Switch 1 version, I keep forgetting. Reposting the story, but now with the Nintendo logos, the characters, the Digimon available. Like, this is a second wave of marketing specifically for Nintendo, which is interesting because obviously Sony State of Plays have really carried the marketing for this, and Digimon Story Time Stranger got a PlayStation blog focus and stuff in comparison to even Xbox or Steam, which it also launched on. It could be the case, and there are rumors that there will be another Nintendo Direct this month, a general Direct sometime close to the Pokemon Presents, which of course is always on February 27th. Is it possible that given Time Stranger got announced for Switch 1 and Switch 2 at the Partner Direct, that they also show up at the full Direct to talk about the next DLC? Yes, it's possible. Is it likely? More likely than it's ever been before, but still pretty unlikely. Really then, this doesn't beg the question, oh, is the DLC cancelled or is it delayed? Of course it isn't. It's coming. And at the end of the video, I am going to reiterate what is in this DLC, so if you don't know already, I will spoil the 5 Digimon that are going to be in there because this is basically a lock at this point. There is a small chance that they instead save this for Digimon Con at the end of March, which is confirmed to be happening at the end of March, although we don't have a date for it yet, which is honestly surprising too. That feels very unlikely to me, but if they're saving stuff, that could be the reason, you know, making sure that Digimon Con actually has news to show off. Admittedly, I feel like that's not such a good thing if you're delaying public info just for the sake of putting it at Digimon Con, and I hope that's not the case. It would really only be worthwhile, in my opinion, to delay the information on the final episode of DLC in this season pass if at Digimon Con you also then announce a double whammy of more DLC or pie in the sky thinking a sequel being revealed. Otherwise, in my opinion, the state of play, the anniversary state of play of Time Stranger being announced would have been a far superior place to put it, and it was already a very long state of play, so it wouldn't have been like dedicating a bunch of time when there was lots of titles there already. It's also possible that the third wave of DLC is just more challenging than the first two and needs more time to cook. Maybe the models of the Digimon, again, I'm not going to spoil them here, I'm going to spoil them at the end of the video, maybe they need more time in the fire, or maybe it's a more comprehensive DLC. Looking back at the Steam page, it is interesting to me that the first two waves were estimated to release in the same time period, January to March, whereas the third pack was always estimated to take a little longer, April to June. There was no world where all three of them were January to March, although now it's very likely that the third wave does release at the end of March, because that's something to consider too. Each of the DLC so far has had about 4 weeks of promotion, meaning it's unlikely that they would just shadow drop this wave of DLC. So whenever it actually gets revealed, we're probably still going to be looking at a couple of weeks, if not a whole month, until the actual DLC drops. Some people fear that they're going to drag out the final wave of DLC until the Switch and Switch 2 versions launch in July, but that feels very unlikely to me, especially as the DLC reception has already been really lukewarm. The Switch version, in my opinion, would be a much better opportunity for a Season Pass 2, and if I was John Bandai, that's what I'd do. Launch the game with the Deluxe Ultimate Edition, whatever, meaning that you get an entire Season Pass of DLC and then announce a second one. And I do think another Season Pass of DLC is still very much on the table. We're seeing this across Bandai Namco titles, Dragon Ball, Tekken, I've talked about this a bunch. But it just feels like such a missed opportunity to not do it at this state of play, knowing that it is the anniversary one. It almost feels like they're not considering these factors for the community when they're making decisions. Don't get me wrong, we are in an absolute new golden age, or I guess a silver age of Digimon. But it's these little touches that I feel like other brands, especially other monster taming brands like Pokemon, are much better at, acknowledging landmark moments like it being 1 year since the reveal. Digimon Games hasn't even tweeted about it being 1 year since the reveal. They did win 2 2025 Xbox Excellence Awards in store rating and player engagement, but they didn't talk about it being a year since that game was revealed, which is kind of crazy. So now we're going to talk about spoilers for the DLC and why that might mean that this specific DLC wave needs to cook. If you want to bow out here, that is absolutely fine. I will see you at the next one. So, as the data mine dictated, as we've known for a while now, the final wave of DLC is going to focus on the X antibody and, of course, Monica Simmons and Asuna, with the DLC pack featuring Omnimon X, Gallantmon X, Jessmon X, Allforce Vidramon X, and Magnamon X, a pretty classic Royal Knights X antibody pack. It's 100% possible that because a lot of these X antibodies are only in like some mobile games or whatever, and are objectively more complicated, spiky designs that, you know, maybe have more elements going on, that maybe it just takes longer to make the models, and that's why this DLC is a little bit longer, taking a little bit extra time. It's a silly excuse, but honestly, given the game is only just now starting to get decent optimization for the console version so that you can actually get a performance or quality mode, it wouldn't be the weirdest reason why a DLC is taking longer. There's also the possibility that this DLC just has more content than the other two. It's kind of the final hurrah. Maybe really the kind of main DLC of the three, although I don't think that's quite likely. However, it could be that, yeah, the story is more involved. Presumably there is going to be some wrap up to the Parallelmon overarching story of all three DLC, and it's even possible, like I've talked about before, that there is some kind of unannounced epilogue that's released free when you complete all three DLC. I don't think that's super likely. A business putting in more work for the same amount of money doesn't sound like the games industry I know right now, but it's 100% possible, or at least if there's not an epilogue, at least DLC 3 would be the place to kind of put more effort in, have that like legitimate final battle with Parallelmon, maybe bring back all the Digimon from all three DLC or whatever. However, Hara has also said that you can kind of play the DLC in any order, so that does make me worry that there's not going to be a super satisfying wrap up to this Parallelmon arc, and I'm really losing faith in ever seeing Ukomon in the base game, which honestly I don't even know why I care about. That does put us in this position now where we have a lot of new Mega Digimon added to this game, 16 new Digimon including Parallelmon. I don't know if I want 15 more Digimon added as DLC at the Mega level. There's already very diminishing returns for this game. While yeah, it's great to have all the Digimon you like in one game, there's obviously no multiplayer in this game, so you can't battle your guys against other guys. There's not really any boss rushes or anything. Like, you can go to the Omni Carnival and do fights that's there, but there's not a great deal to actually do with all these Mega Digimon you're unlocking, which is why I personally, if I was making a second season pass, would instead of doing 5 Mega Digimon per pack, add an evolution line per pack. So like the Gamamon evolution branch, or Bluecomon is a great example. Bluecomon, Paildramon, Crisp Paildramon, Hexablaumon, or maybe like another Mega in there to account for all 5. Make that a pack. I think you need variety, and the reason that an evolution line to me makes more sense than 5 Mega Digimon is that it incentivizes you to replay the whole game. Because let's not forget, Mega Digimon in particular are actually kind of hard to unlock. You need to have a really high agent rank to unlock Mega, and when I first played it, not doing a ton of side quests, I didn't even get there until after I beat the game. It's very possible to beat this game with only the ultimate level unlocked. So there's not much incentive to replay the game right now with challenge runs. However, like I say, if Gamamon was added, or Ghost Game Digimon in general, you suddenly have an incentive. Can I beat the game with only Gamamon? Or even just having Gamamon in the game gives you an incentive to replay a non-challenge run. Just be like, oh, it's cool, I get to replay the game, and this time I get to take my Gamamon with me, or my Bluecomon, or my Tobu Catmon, I guess. I think having Rookies, Champions, Ultimates, and Megas gives you much more incentive in this kind of very locked-in single-player experience with, like I say, no real boss rushes or insane post-game content beside the New Game Plus to actually replay the game to see all your little guys. I personally am not worried about the DLC, and like I say, I'm almost confident that making this video is going to time after time, and then on Monday they're going to announce the release date for DLC 3. I just kind of wanted to talk about it this weekend, especially because honestly, in my heart of hearts, for the first time in a while, I actually thought I was going to get to do a video talking about DLC 3. It's so rare that I ever have confidence that Digimon is going to show up at an event, or that we're going to have an insight on when Digimon might announce something. It felt so odd to me. I really was at like a 60-40 that this state of play, as I've said a bunch of times in this video, the 1-year anniversary of Time Stranger's reveal, it felt so obvious it would have the 3rd DLC reveal, and it just didn't. So I'm not worried, but I'm a little bit confused. And I'll see you in 2 days for another video when DLC 3 gets announced. But thank you to my Sovereign, ZDK14, Chaotic Prophet, Lupus Lichlord, and Jeremy Babineau over on patreon.com/Karn EX, and my YouTube channel members here on YouTube for holding it down. You guys are all so amazing, got so much content coming up for you. So don't you want to join them? And I'll see you next time when we go digital. Bye bye.